Hey guys, I'm Hellhound, and if you haven't already guessed, yes, this is going to be a Godzilla-related video. Yeah, you guys all like Godzilla, right? Sure you do, because Godzilla's freaking awesome. And I love these movies. They're an important, big part of my childhood. They're very nostalgic for me. I grew up with Godzilla, and I just love the big green guy. He's just too freaking cool. Probably my favorite thing that's ever come out of Japan. Anime would be a close second, but oh yeah, gotta love Godzilla. And originally I was going to do a ranking video, ranking all the Godzilla entries, all like, what, 31 of them, including the two American versions, from best to worst. Then I was going to go through all of them in chronological order and talk about each of them. But I figured to get things started, let's go ahead and start with my top 10 favorite Godzilla movies from 10 to 1, from worst to best. That'll be a good way to get things started. Eventually I will eventually give each of them their own review. All the movies in the Godzilla series, I'll give them, all of them, their own review. So stay tuned for that. Well, let's go ahead and begin. Hellhound's top 10 Godzilla movies. Oh yeah. Gotta love Godzilla. So let's get started. Alright. Number 10. Godzilla Final Wars, the final film in the Millennium series, and for a while, for 10 years, this was the last Godzilla film we had. Now we have a new American Godzilla movie coming from 2014, and a new Japanese Godzilla movie from 2016 called Shin Godzilla, aka Godzilla Resurgence. More on that later. But anyway, this was now, a lot of people don't like this movie. It's really a divisive Godzilla film, and a lot of people would say, oh, it's in your top 10, blasphemy. The reason I like this is because it delivers everything I actually want from a Godzilla movie, which is high entertainment. Every adrenaline-pumped second of this movie is just highly entertaining. Like, it's very, very amusing. It's got, like, almost all the monsters from every Godzilla movie ever. Almost. They're not all there, but a lot of them are. Most of the ones are some that we haven't seen since the original series, the Showa era, that it did in 1975. So this movie's very fun. There's not a bunch of scenes of, a bunch of scientists and military people in boardrooms saying, the new data shows that the monster is weakened by this and this, and a monster sighting was here. We don't have scenes of the military saying, direct hit, sir, let's engage in this combat. We don't have a bunch of boring shit like that. The human scenes are actually interesting because they involve mutant humans that are superhuman and freaking aliens. The Zillions making their return from Invasion of Astro Monster, the 6th Godzilla film ever. This movie is like a mishmash of all the best things about the whole Godzilla series blended into one. Now, I agree, the tone is all over the place. It is ridiculous, it's cheesy, but that's what I like. That's what I like about giant monster movies. Come on now. I know a lot of people don't like this movie because it's too cheesy and they want some serious, boring, classy, sophisticated shit when they watch a Godzilla movie for some reason. But I love this movie. It's a blast to watch. Every second is entertaining. I do agree, it kind of feels like they took X-Men, The Matrix, Independence Day, and Godzilla, put them all in a blender. It's like a bunch of different movies come together, but the action is worth it. There's a lot of good monster scenes, maybe not as much as I would have liked, because I feel like it does cut away from the monster action back to the human drama, but at least it's not a bunch of people wearing suits in a boardroom talking about boring stuff for 3 hours. Instead, we got freaking action-packed human characters as well that are just kicking all sorts of ass. So I love this movie. It's very, very fun. It's like a modern-day Destroy All Monsters. I'd highly recommend it. It's by my favorite, second favorite in the Millennium series. I freaking love it. I know a lot of people don't like it again, but I think it's a lot of fun. That's exactly what I want to Godzilla movie. A fun, good, cheesy, good time. All right, let's move on. Number 9, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Now, this was the fifth film in the second series, known as the Heisei era in Japan. And I think this is my second favorite in the second series, in the Heisei era. I love Mechagodzilla. He's my second favorite Godzilla enemy next to King Ghidorah. He's freaking awesome. Rodan returns. We haven't seen him in a while. This is the only movie to feature him in the Heisei era. Very fun movie. We even see a baby Godzilla, which who's a lot better, cooler than Minilla from the Showa era. Minilla was just freaking annoying, but I like the Godzilla Jr. that's in this movie and the two following movies. Yeah, great entry to the series. I don't really care for Mechagodzilla being a good guy and controlled by the military, by G-Force or whatever. I prefer him to be controlled by aliens, the simians, the black hole aliens. And I think he's better when Mechagodzilla's a villain and not like the hero and Godzilla's a bad guy. But whatever, it's a very good movie anyway. Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, Rodan, Baby Godzilla, they're all cool. A very fun movie. Definitely one of the best of the Heisei era. Just a small disclaimer. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of the original series, the Showa era. I'm heavily biased to that. And really, my top 10 would probably actually include nothing but original era Godzilla films. It'd be a top 10 list, and they'd all just be from the Showa era. But I tried to be fair. I tried to mix it up a little bit by having some movies from the Heisei and Millennium series in there as well. So sorry, I know a lot of people love the later Godzilla films, and they don't really care for the Showa era, but it's the one I grew up with. It's the most nostalgic. They're the ones that I fell in love with. They're the ones that got me into Godzilla, so I do love the original series. But to be fair, I tried to include some other ones in here as well, even though I probably don't rank them as high as most of the ones in the Showa era. Though I understand the Showa era definitely had some low ones too. But anyway, let's move on. Now, this is the one everybody has been waiting for, and I kind of forced myself to put it in my top 10, even though I love it, but I don't think it's as good as everybody says it is. I don't like it as much as you guys do. I think it's awesome, and it is my favorite in the Millennium series, I guess. I kind of like Final Wars a little more, but I had to force myself to include this one higher, because I didn't want a bunch of angry comments saying, "You blasphemer! This is the best one ever! You know, it's classier and sophisticated than Final Wars." You know, that's not why I watch a Godzilla movie. Anyway, it's Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters, All-Out Attack. Yeah, what a long title. And yeah, it also has Baragon in it. You know, I guess they couldn't fit his name in the ridiculously long title. But he has kind of a small, more minor role anyway. It's mostly about these three. Yeah, I love this movie. I think it's great. It probably is my favorite of the Millennium. It's close between that and Final Wars. I also love the two featuring Mechagodzilla, Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, and Tokyo SOS, which was like a remake of Godzilla vs. Mothra, and even had direct continuity with the original Mothra movie from 1961, which is freaking awesome. Mechagodzilla was a beast in those two movies. But I forced myself to include this one because I didn't want everybody saying, "Oh, I can't believe you didn't have this one on your list. You're not a true Godzilla fan," you know, bite me. No, but I do love it. I think it's awesome. It has some spectacular special effects, some great monster battles. I love Godzilla's look in this. He looked awesome throughout the Millennium series. He had like more sharp dorsal fins and more jagged, but in this movie, this is the only one in the Millennium series where he went back to more original design. However, he had these completely white eyes. It kind of looked like Deadite Godzilla. He was the most evil in this movie. He was the most villainous, and that kind of brings me to the part I don't care for. King Ghidorah is a good guy in this one. Yeah, you heard me. He's a hero. This is everybody's second favorite Godzilla movie, people, and sometimes their first favorite. I'm sorry, but I cannot rank a movie where King Ghidorah is the good guy and Godzilla is the bad guy that high. I'm sorry, just how I feel. I'm not used to it. It's weird. It'd be like if the Green Goblin was the hero and Spider-Man was the villain, and Green Goblin teamed up with like Iron Man or Captain America to bring Spider-Man down. It's just weird to me. I know Godzilla's been the villain before, so that's fine. I don't mind him being, a force of mass destruction who leaves all kinds of millions of corpses in his wake and leaves the city in ruins and ravages Tokyo over and over. But King Ghidorah is a good guy and a heroic guardian that was prophesized by the ancients, and he's like a titan. It's a little weird. He kind of looks weird in this. I don't think the design is quite as good as it was in the Showa and Heisei eras. Again, this is a great movie. I think it's awesome. I think it's really well done, but it's not in my top 5. It's like most people, and I think it's a little bit overrated. Just like one of the movies in the Heisei era, I think it's a little overrated. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, this is still an awesome movie. Great monster battles, great effects, great fights. Godzilla looks amazing, truly terrifying. Probably the scariest one ever, along with Shin Godzilla, the newest one made from Toho. The newest live action anyway. There is an anime trilogy in the works, with the third entry coming out soon, but more on that later. Yeah, very terrifying Godzilla. Mothra looks awesome. Before, he just kind of looked like a weird puppet made of pipe cleaners. He looks really good in this movie. King Ghidorah looks really good, but he's a little too small, a little too short. He's smaller than Godzilla, which is weird. And again, he's a hero, which, I'm sorry, it's just not what I'm used to. I gotta bring the movie down a little bit because of that. I still think it's really, really good, just not as good as everybody thinks it is. But hey, it is in my top 10. I did say it's my favorite Millennium, so obviously I do like it a lot. I just think that I don't like it as much as you guys do. But anyway, let's move on. I think I spent enough time on that one because, wow. All right, let's see. Number 7. Destroy All Monsters. Now, this is basically the Showa era version of Final Wars. It has every Godzilla monster up to that point, except for a few. King Kong, Udaku, the Giant Condor, Ebera, Yeah, not every monster's in this, but most of them are, and even some that weren't in a Godzilla movie, like Varan from Varan the Unbelievable, yeah, Baragon from King Kong Escapes, Amanda, and there's a few monsters that weren't in Godzilla movie. We have some other returning favorites, like, of course, Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, Anguirus, Minilla, Godzilla's son is in it, returning from Son of Godzilla, the previous film. Then we have Kumonga, returning as well from Son of Godzilla. We haven't seen Anguirus since Godzilla Raids Again, so this is the first movie to feature him since the second movie ever. And, of course, Ghidorah is in it. You know he's got to be in it. Now, I will say the Kilaaks are really cool aliens. They're, like, all female. They have some really cool technology. I don't like them quite as much as the the Simians, or even the Cetopians, but they're still really cool. And well, actually, I like them better than the Cetopians from Godzilla vs. Megalon. I take that back. But there is a lot of talking in this one. Now, I think this movie boasts that it's going to be a big monster brawl, a big rumble, a big epic, big fight between all the monsters. And it does deliver that, but it takes a long time to get to the action. There's a lot of talking, a lot of scenes in boardrooms, a lot of scenes with the aliens communicating with the humans. There's not as much monster action I would like, but the final 15-20 minutes make it all the more worth it. All the monsters team up against Ghidorah, and it's one of the most awesome things you will ever see. It's just freaking brutal. And wow, yeah, those last 15 minutes really made it all worth it. They really delivered. I don't think it's quite the big monster rumble, the big action-packed brawl between all these famous monsters like it was advertised as. But I think that it still delivers in the last act makes it more than worth it. I would have appreciated more monster action, less talking. It's really cool to see all the monsters under alien control go to different parts of the city. I think this is like the first one that we ever saw a monster like outside of Japan, pretty much. You know, usually they're ravaging Tokyo or something, but in this one they're all over the world, which is pretty cool, you know. But yeah, it's still a great movie. I just think that I would have rated it. I would have probably rated it higher if it was more lived up to its name, what it was advertised as. But that's okay, still great. All right, now we have number 6, which is my favorite entry in the Heisei era, the second series. I know you're all thinking, Godzilla vs. Destoroyah! Oh my gosh, Godzilla vs. Destoroyah is his favorite in the Heisei series! Guess what? No, it's not. I'm sorry, I love that movie. I think it's awesome. Destoroyah was a really awesome creature, probably the most fierce opponent Godzilla's ever faced, and Godzilla had a really awesome look with a lava-like rashes and glowing redness all over his body. It's a great movie, but it's not my favorite from the Heisei era. I'm sorry, but Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah is. I love this movie. I think it's freaking awesome. It's my favorite from the Heisei era. And yes, I like it better than Godzilla vs. Destoroyah. Sorry to say, that'd probably be my 4th favorite from the Heisei era after King Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla 2, and Godzilla and Mothra, The Battle for Earth. I'm sorry. Hell, I even kind of like Godzilla vs. Biollante and Return of Godzilla, a.k.a. Godzilla 1984, a.k.a. Godzilla 1985. Yeah, this one. I even kind of like those a whole lot better than most people do. Destoroyah is definitely better than Space Godzilla, though. That's my least favorite of the Heisei series. But yeah, I don't like it quite as much as everybody else does, but I think it's still freaking awesome. But anyway, I love this movie. I think King Ghidorah looks amazing. Godzilla looks amazing. He has the best look here out of the entire Heisei era, and it was the best Godzilla we'd seen up to that point. This was 1991. It was the best Godzilla we've ever seen. He's a badass. Godzilla and Mothra, The Battle for Earth is really good, too. That was the 4th film in the Heisei series, and that's my 3rd favorite next to this and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. I like it a lot. Batra was, the dark evil Mothra was pretty cool. This one's great. Yeah, I love the monster battles. I do not care for the whole time travel plot. The Futurians come back in time to save Tokyo from Godzilla, and then they create their own monster, King Ghidorah. I liked it better when he was just an evil alien monster from space. I don't care for the time travel origin. The time travel stuff gives me a headache. I will not get into it, but I gotta say, this has some of the worst time travel plots ever. There's plot holes, there's continuity errors. It's a freaking mess. Unless it's Terminator or Back to the Future or Star Trek or Dragon Ball Z, I hate time travel in movies. It just makes me overthink things. I'm too analytical for that because time travel just makes no sense. It causes too many problems. But other than that, this movie's awesome. There's also an android character. Everything with the Futurians, everything with the human characters, I gotta say, is kind of stupid. There's some memorable characters. The dubbing is really bad in the English version. I wish they'd released the original Japanese one. They did that for almost all the other Godzilla movies, except for this one, and the last two in the Heisei Heisei era. Sorry, I keep mispronouncing that. I don't speak Japanese, I apologize. But yeah, I hate the time travel stuff, but the monster battles make it more than worth it. King Ghidorah has never looked this good, and he also gets made to a robotic, he gets cybernetic enhancements at the end. He gets a robotic head, a robotic body, and he becomes Mecha Ghidorah, and he's freaking awesome. But yeah, the monsters are awesome. Everything is great about this movie. The time travel sucks. The time travel brings it down. But it's still my favorite in the Heisei era because it has some of the best action and monster battles. And that's what I look for when I watch a Godzilla movie. So, all you people who think that I should have rated Godzilla, Mothra, and GMK as number 2. So, sorry, I don't like it as much as you do. Hey, to each their own. It's all a matter of opinion. I'm just glad that we all like these movies. Let's just be happy that let's all agree that Godzilla's awesome. Agree to disagree. This is my favorite in the Heisei era, not Destoroyah. Sorry. Let's move on. All right, number 5. We're down to the top 5, down to the nitty-gritty. And yes, I did say I like the Showa era the best. The original series is my favorite. Sorry, I'm heavily biased towards it. That's the era I fell in love with. You know, the tone's wildly all over the place, but I don't care. Godzilla vs. Mecha Godzilla. I love this movie. This is my favorite growing up. I watched this over and over and over. This is the one I've seen the most. I love how Godzilla is so heroic in this one. I like the good guy Godzilla. He's awesome when he's a villain and he ravages Tokyo and destroys everything in his path and leaves, you know, millions dead. But I think he's really cool when he's the good guy too. And he's a force to be reckoned with. But Mechagodzilla is a fierce opponent. As I said, he's the second deadliest opponent next to Ghidorah. And my gosh, I gotta say, Mechagodzilla's arsenal is just armed to the teeth. Literally, every part of his body is a weapon. Finger missiles, toe missiles, knee cannons, like eye lasers. I swear, his balls are probably like atomic bombs. He's like a living weapon, and he's, well, not living, but he's a mechanical, but he's controlled by the simians, the black hole aliens, and he is the villain. I like it better when he's the villain. The other 2 eras, he was the good guy, which was weird. They were still cool, but I like it way better when he's a villain. This is my favorite movie featuring Mechagodzilla, and Godzilla's a beast, and Guerus is in it, but sadly he gets his ass kicked by Mechagodzilla, as does King Caesar, a weird character. It's like a dog-lion hybrid who, he had this huge build-up. They're talking about them the whole movie. Then they finally wake him up and he gets his ass kicked. There's a lot of weird things in this movie, like ancient prophecies, this ancient family, and this chick who sees the future, and they're all these things, all these signs. Look, the sun's rising in the west. Look, the moon is red. Look, there's a mountain in the sky. All these prophecies, it means a monster's coming to destroy the city. Really? You need all these prophecies to tell you that a monster is coming to destroy the city in a Godzilla movie? Okay then, whatever. This movie's still freaking awesome though. I love it. It has some of the best battles. It's cheesy, it's ridiculous, but I love it. The over-the-top action and some awesome Godzilla action makes it all worth it. Alright, number 4, Ghidorah, the 3-headed monster. GMK is not my favorite Ghidorah movie. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah is also not my favorite Ghidorah movie. This is. I love it because Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra, who's in larval form, he's a caterpillar throughout the movie, all team up against the 3-headed golden dragon from space. This movie is just awesome. It's the first one to feature Godzilla as a good guy. It came out the same year as the last entry, Godzilla vs. Mothra, and I just think it's a lot of fun. The 2 twin fairies that accompany Mothra all the time, there's a really funny part where they're deciphering everything the monsters are saying, and they say, Godzilla, what terrible language, you know? Godzilla said shit or something, you know? I think it's hilarious. Yeah, it's a little ridiculous, but it wasn't as kid-friendly and, you know, over-the-top cheesy as some of the later ones, like, you know, Son of Godzilla and Godzilla vs. Megalon, Jet Jaguar, all that stuff. This movie's awesome. I think it's one of the very best. The original series is my favorite movie to feature Ghidorah, the 3-headed monster, the namesake. He's awesome. And I love how Godzilla becomes a hero in this one. I love how he teams against Rodan and teams with Rodan and Mothra. And the next American film, which I'm really excited for coming out next year, is pretty much going to be a remake of this, because it's going to have all 4 of those monsters, and it's going to be awesome. Alright, anyway, I can't recommend this movie enough. It's very, very good. You should see it if you're a Godzilla fan, if you love giant monsters beating each other up and destroying the city. Alright, number 3. Godzilla vs. Mothra, the 4th film in the series, and the last one to feature a villain Godzilla. This is a direct follow-up to the original Mothra movie, Mothra's first movie from 1961, and I think they work really well together. It was only made sense that they cross over with the Godzilla franchise, their biggest franchise. There was also Rodan, which had his own movie before he appeared in this movie, his second appearance. I love this movie. It's really, really good. And I've heard some Godzilla fans saying this is overrated, but hey, I don't know. I think it's really awesome. Godzilla had a pretty cool look. He has these big eyebrows for some reason. Mothra is great. The twin fairies that accompany her are kind of funny. Yeah, I just really, really love it. I love the twin larva caterpillars that fight Godzilla at the end with their webbing and wrap them up in a cocoon and and all that with their silk web. Yeah, it's just really fun. A lot of fun, a lot of good action, a lot of great characters. A lot of the same Godzilla actors you've seen in other movies are in this, like Akiko Hirata and the guy, one of the guys he was actually in the original Mothra movie. And he reprised that same role for Tokyo SOS several years later. He's in this playing a different part. I don't know why I didn't play Chujo, the character he was in Mothra. But anyway, great movie. I highly recommend it. All right, now this next one, my second favorite, is a lot that people will disagree with. And I know you're thinking, you didn't like GMK, you didn't put GMK in your top 5, but you put these pieces of shit in your top 5? A lot of people don't like this movie for some reason, but I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. I grew up with it. It's got a lot of cheesy monster action. And that's King Kong versus Godzilla. I love this movie. I think it's a blast. Yeah, it's stupid. It was the first Godzilla movie to feature kind of more comedic, kind of lighthearted, child-friendly. Not too much child-friendly, but it was more like campy and more humorous. It was a total different tone from the first two Godzilla movies, especially the first one. But I will say the Japanese version is a lot better. I hate watching the American version. Sadly, we don't have the Japanese version as an official release in America yet. I wish they'd hurry up and get on that. The American version adds all these other stupid scenes of dialogue with scientists and doctors kind of telling you what's going on, all these news reports. Oh, we think that Godzilla was made from this, and King Kong, and shut the hell up. I always fast forward through those scenes, just get to the Japanese parts. Unfortunately, they took out a lot of Japanese footage. The dubbing sucks. I will say the American version has a good soundtrack. They added some music from Creature of the Black Lagoon and some other Universal Studios monster movies. I think fit pretty well, but I think the Japanese version is superior overall. So really, this isn't my preferred version. This is the American version. I like the Japanese version way better. Release it already. Give it a proper release in America. Come on. It's like the only one we don't have from the original series that we have the Japanese version. Come on, get on it already. But I love it. I'm a huge King Kong fan. This is the third movie in to feature King Kong. Well, he actually wasn't in Son of Kong, the second movie, but it's the third King Kong movie and the third Godzilla movie, and it's the first to feature both monsters in color. And this is a lot of fun. I love when King Kong fights the giant octopus. Excuse me. I love when he fights Godzilla in the end. It's weird that he's charged up by electricity and he gets his powers from lightning, but that's just another indicator that it was originally supposed to be either King Kong versus Frankenstein or Godzilla versus Frankenstein. I don't know. I've heard different stories, but somebody was going to fight Frankenstein originally before it became this, but I think it was a great monster mashup. It was about time that the two had a crossover, but really, Godzilla wasn't even really that popular at this point. This is his third movie. This came out in the early 60s. He wasn't really that big quite yet. He was already, well known, but he's the villain. King Kong's the good guy. The King Kong suit looks really ridiculous. It looks really silly. It's very stupid. It's probably the worst looking King Kong in a movie ever, but it's just awesome. It's a lot of fun. It's a blast. It's stupid. It's ridiculous, but it's so much fun. But it's a completely different tone than the first two. All right, before I unveil my number one pick, here's some honorable mentions, and that would be all the rest of the movies. All the rest of them. All the remaining ones from the Showa era, especially. Whoops. Yeah, all the rest of them. Especially Terror of Mechagodzilla, which is awesome. This isn't one of the better ones. I like this one better than most people do. I think this movie's too trippy and too weird, has too much of an environmentalist message, it's too child-friendly. It's either boring, childish, too up its own ass with its message, or just really trippy and psychedelic. This movie sucks ass. I can't stand it. I hate it. I won't even get into why. It's not worth it. This movie was the first to be more child-friendly and more campy and just humorous in tone. The giant insect battles are awesome, but Manila, Godzilla's son, kind of sucks. I don't hate it as much as most people do, but we didn't need it to be child-friendly. Godzilla vs. Sea Monster is kind of a mediocre entry. Mothra's not in it enough, and Ebera isn't really that great of a opponent. This movie's awesome. Invasion of Astro Monster, that's like my main honorable mention. It's my 11th favorite, probably. That and Terror of Mechagodzilla, which is number 12. This movie's great. Godzilla and Rodan go to space, and Godzilla does this really hilarious dance. So I highly recommend this one. Then there's Godzilla Raids Again, the second film in the series, where the first appearance of Anguirus. Really good movie. It's the other black and white one, but I cannot watch the American version. The American version calls him Gigantus, and the one tragic hero character, Kobayashi, I think is his name, I don't know, he becomes a bumbling idiot. And I can't watch the American version because it sucks. I can only watch the Japanese version with subtitles, because the Americanized version is an abomination. There are the rest of the films from the Heisei series. Godzilla, Return to Godzilla, aka Godzilla 1984. Raymond Burr reprises his role as Steve Martin in the American version, which I also can't watch. I prefer the Japanese version, which is this one we got on DVD. We don't have the American version on DVD, but I got it on VHS right there. So there's that. Great movie. I think it's kind of underrated. Not many Godzilla fans like it. It's the only other one besides the original and Shin Godzilla to only feature Godzilla. But I think it was a great return to form. Godzilla looked great for the time. Some of the close-up shots of his head looked kind of silly, but he looked awesome. Godzilla vs. Biollante. Biollante was an awesome opponent, a plant monster that needs to return. Yeah, Space Godzilla, I don't like that one. It's my least favorite of the Heisei series. Destoroyah is awesome, great villain, great movie, but I don't like it as much as everybody else does. It's a little overrated. Still awesome, but not as good as everybody says. This movie sucks ass. This is the first American attempt to make a Godzilla movie, and it's terrible. Terrible. It's an abomination. I hate it. Matthew Broderick was good in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but that movie freaking sucks. Godzilla 2000, which was saved the Godzilla name from this turd. He fights Orga in the Millennium. It's an awesome monster. The first from the Millennium series, but it's not one of the best. Godzilla vs. Batra. Oh, I'm sorry. Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. My least favorite in the Millennium series. Godzilla against Mechagodzilla and Godzilla Tokyo SOS. The only ones in the Millennium series to share continuity. They're both awesome, especially this one because it has Mothra in it. It's like a remake of Godzilla vs. Mothra. Then we have the recent American movie, Godzilla 2014. Godzilla wasn't in it enough. It didn't feel like he was the focus of the movie. The Mutos, the opponents that he fought, they were really reminiscent of all modern American monsters. It got more focus than he did, but I still liked it. I thought it was very good. Way better than the 1998 TriStar version. I'm really looking forward to the sequel of this, which is going to have Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra. Then the next sequel after that was going to be a crossover with Godzilla, Kong Skull Island. That's right, a rematch with Godzilla and Kong. Another Godzilla versus King Kong movie. Yes! Yeah, this movie wasn't as good as it could have been, but still way better than the other American movie, and a very decent attempt at an American Godzilla film. And I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series. Shin Godzilla, aka Godzilla Resurgence. This is the most recent live-action Japanese film. The first in the new series, the reboot series, or the current series, or whatever people are calling it. Every new entry in the series is a reboot, so whatever, the current series. Aside from the anime trilogy, this is the most recent Godzilla movie, and he was very different in this. He had a lot of new abilities. He started out in another weird form. He evolved a lot. There's way too many scenes of people in boardrooms, a lot of boring stuff, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I actually like the recent American version a little better, but this felt more like a Godzilla movie because it was actually in Tokyo. I think it was a costume enhanced with CGI, and of course, the Japanese people and dubbing it. It feels more like a Godzilla movie, but Godzilla was very different, but very terrifying looking all the same. Scariest Godzilla I've ever seen in the movie, and they made him the villain again. It was still awesome. Well, what does that leave? There's only one left, so what would my number one Godzilla movie would have to be? Godzilla. But not this version. This is the American version where they spliced Raymond Burr in there, giving a narration through every freaking scene. Yeah, this is the inferior version. The real version, my real number one, is none other than the original Japanese Gojira, Godzilla, from 1954, the original. This movie is very dark and very gritty and very grim and just very... It's not like your typical cheesy B movie featuring a sci-fi monster. Most of the other movies came out at this time were really silly. You can watch them and laugh. This movie's very serious, very grounded in reality. Godzilla was a metaphor for the atomic bomb. Japan was just ravaged by nuclear weapons just a few years ago. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I believe it was. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. This movie, the dread that was still looming over Japan, this movie is a perfect metaphor for that. Very dark, very serious, done very well. The Godzilla effects, the costume, they're a little dated now, but I think they still hold up today. I still think they look damn good for the time it was made. This is the ultimate Godzilla movie, the original, the very first one, the one that started it all. Godzilla's just brutal. You don't see him a whole lot either, you know. So but you really see the destruction. You really see the chaos they left in his wake. You see people with their families in the hospitals crying, and that eerie choir with the kids singing. Definitely the scariest, most terrifying monster movie of the 50s and 60s for sure. Yeah, the original Gojira, Godzilla from 1954, the classic, the original. Unbeatable. It has yet to be topped. I love it, and it's my number one for good reason. I love all these movies, except for Godzilla's Revenge and the 1998 Godzilla movie, but I like all the other ones on some level, or some are better than others, but this one is the best of all. The true king. Alright guys, I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching my video. Long live Godzilla. Let me know what your favorite Godzilla movies are in the comments below. And the next video I'm going to be doing is Sean Urshan's Vincent Price tag. Didn't forget about you, buddy. Don't worry, it's coming soon. So until then, see y'all later. I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching.